Rockstar's landmark release, Red Dead Redemption 2, opens with a bit of information. It informs us that it's 1899, the death of a century in numeric form. America's becoming a land of laws, and the last remaining gunslingers are being hunted down and destroyed. Then, we open on a swirling frozen vista. A trail of wagons, like the kind symbolic for frontier times, curls across the snow. It is precisely this pioneer era the wagon caravan signifies that's coming to an end. The whirling eddies of snowfall then immediately take symbolic power of their own as the death of America's adolescence. The first line we hear is,
"Abigail says he's dying, Dutch."
Now, the preacher is talking about a man we never meet named Davy, but given he mentions Abigail, John Marston's wife from the first game, the line carries symbolic resonance for Marston's own impending death years later, which the events of this game set into stone. Dutch, of course, we also know, is already as good as dead. And while we won't know that characters like Hosea, or Arthur, or Micah are also just as doomed until we finish Red Dead Redemption 2, in retrospect, the large majority of the opening of this game is nothing but phantoms and death. An ice world beyond life. A gateway in between life and the afterlife.
Okay, Arthur's out looking. I sent him up ahead.
If we don't stop soon, we'll all be dying. This weather, it's May. I'm just hoping the law got as lost as we did.
There! Arthur! Any luck?
I found a place where we can get some shelter. Let Davy rest while he... you know.
The place the gang holed up in is an abandoned, lifeless mining town. Hosea makes the comment this terrible blizzard's in May. Both of these things point to the death not only of the 19th century, but the American century, aka the 20th. From the collapse of America's mining infrastructure to climate change, which of course is strongly exacerbated by the burning of coal, which of course is mined. There will likely never be such a blizzard in May in the south of the US like this ever again. There will never be Americans like this, arguably, again either. The many deaths already destined to come are foreshadowed by bloody rags and red bandanas worn all around, which glisten like viscera in the dim and getting ever dimmer light.
Miss Jones, bring in whatever blankets we have. Mr. Pearson, see what we've got in terms of food.
Davy's dead.
There was nothing more you could have done.
What are we gonna do? We need supplies.
Well, first of all, you're gonna stay here, and you are gonna get yourself warm. Now, I sent John and Micah scouting out ahead. Arthur and I, we're gonna ride out, see if we can find one of them. And this, just for a short bit. And I don't see what other choice we have. Listen. Listen to me, all of you, for a moment. Now, we've had, well, a bad couple of days. I loved Davy, Jenny, Sean, Mac. They may be okay. We don't know. But we lost some folks.
Dutch paraphrases here an infamous statement about torture by Barack Obama before eerily conjuring to mind his own preordained death.
Now, if I could throw myself in the ground in their stead, I'd do it gladly. Our time has passed, John.
The first instruction we're given is to keep pace with Dutch. That's fitting, given metaphorically that's what Arthur and the entire gang will be trying to do for the rest of the game.
Ain't sure what we're gonna find out here, Dutch.
When Arthur first appears, he says he's found a shelter on the mountain to lay the fallen to rest. Arthur, of course, will himself lay down for his final rest on just such a mountaintop. The entirety of what's to follow is encapsulated in the opening few moments of Red Dead Redemption 2. Dutch makes his rousing speech about how safe they all are in such a dangerous storm, yet the crisis that the gang is in is its own kind of storm, one that provides Dutch cover the way he explains the real storm is providing the gang now.
We're gonna ride out, and we're gonna find some food. Everybody, we're safe now. There ain't nobody following us through a storm like this one. And by the time they get here, well, we're gonna be long gone. They both must have headed down the hill.
Sure. Hey, I ain't had time to ask. What really went down back there on that boat?
We missed you. That's what happened. Come on. Oh.
Dutch dodges any questions you might ask about the Blackwater robbery, preferring instead to go out and find Micah. And Micah, of course, is the one person more than anyone other than Dutch who will bear responsibility for the gang's coming annihilation.
Micah,
Gentlemen,
found anything?
I think so. Found a little homestead down that way.
Okay. Anyone home?
The first place you happen upon proves the emptiness of Dutch's speech. Not even this desolate wilderness is free anymore. Even here we find some form of human civilization, the very sort that the gang set out to escape from long before the robbery went awry. It's the O'Driscolls, who have used their superior strength and numbers to take over an innocent family's house. The point of Sadie's victimization here is to drive home the point that even here, the inequity and the savagery of modern life grows like a weed.
Leave her alone!
I wasn't doing nothing. She's one of them O'Driscolls.
No, she ain't, Micah. Look at her. Miss! Are you...
Oh, you fool! Micah!
When the trio first arrive, they think the house belongs to the O'Driscolls. This is a pretty illusion they're too cursed by fate not to see beneath. So when Micah does eventually find Sadie hiding in the cellar, things get a little out of control fast, just like they will over and over again in the game to come. Blindsided, the struggle that breaks out causes a fire to then break out, like the one that will break out much later when Dutch will decide to abandon John Marston to save his own sorry hide, setting into motion his own eventual demise. And the house burns down here exactly like the metaphorical house of Vanderland will soon.
It's okay.
Hey, everybody, Dutch is back! How'd you get on?
Micah found a homestead, but he weren't the first. Colm O'Driscoll and his scum, they beat us to it.
Dutch calls the O'Driscolls scum, but he's already decided unilaterally that he's going to beat them at their own game. The Vanderlands will become no different.
Yeah, that's him.
And Arthur, who tells Sadie that they're bad men but not as bad as the other lot, will be too blind to see it coming, like he was too blind to the existence of Sadie before it was too late. This is emblemized in how we see the dead body long before learning it's Mr. Adler, Sadie's murdered husband. The corpse is already dead. All that's left is piecing together his identity and the cause. The same, of course, is true of Dutch. But sadly, what we, like Arthur here, won't realize before it's too late is that this is also true for Arthur himself. Arthur is such a great tragic hero because he's a knight of faith, even though his belief in Dutch and their cause of a freer and fairer world is in vain. And so is all the Vanderlands' belief in their leader and their group. When Javier says that they should go searching for John Marston, because that's what he'd do for him if the situation were reversed, as anyone who's played the first game knows, ironically and tragically, Javier is right. In fact, Marston follows the river to find Escuela, just like Escuela does here to find Marston, giving both games a poetic symmetry. Over and over again, Red Dead Redemption 2 is showing, not telling, that all of these characters are damned. All we can do is watch as their house, their world, their faith, catches fire and smolders to ashes. Just like King Arthur's Age of Chivalry, our Arthur will wind up a legend of a dead, charred age.